Welcome back to the channel, guys. I'm Sheldon, and this is another episode of Behind the Enthusiast. Today, I am going to be doing a thorough, when in doubt, change it out oil change on my 2004 Honda CRF450R flat tracker. Now, I do have another video for you guys who want to know the full in-depth oil change of not only the motor but the transmission as well. I go through that in another video. It's much longer than this one, so if you guys want to watch that one, feel free to head over to that link right now. I will provide it down below. But otherwise, this is going to be focusing mainly on all the O-rings for the oil filter, the drain plug, everything while changing the oil only. So this is going to be a more condensed version, and I think that this is going to be the oil change that majority of you are going to be doing on a regular basis. So let's get into it. All right, guys, so first things first, what you want to make sure that you have already laid out are all the tools and parts that you're going to need for the oil change. So here I have my oil, I have my drain pan, I have a new filter with the O-ring for the oil filter, the drain plug O-ring, as well as the crush washer for the drain. So I will zoom in here so that you guys can see the part numbers. There you go. So those are all the part numbers for a 2004. These could be used on other models as well. I've also got my ratchets, so I've got a 10 mil and an 8 mil, and of course I have the funnel for the oil. Now, I would also recommend having a piece of paper towel or rag or both, doesn't matter. And for when you go to fill the bike, make sure you have a board, which is what everything's sitting on right now. Make sure you're using that to level out the bike, so that when you're looking through the sight glass, the oil is filled correctly. Now, once you guys have all of your parts laid out, all your parts and tools, you want to make sure that you go out and get the bike warm. Generally, I ride it up and down the street for, let's say, 5 or 10 minutes. More or less, that's all it really needs. Just make sure you warm up the bike completely. Make sure you're wearing a helmet. Gloves and goggles are advised as well, but never ride your bike without a helmet on. Make sure you do up the strap, because you never know what might happen, and it's way better for you to have your helmet on and nothing happen than to have something happen and you'd not be wearing it. So safety first, guys. So always wear a helmet, even if you're just warming up the engine for an oil change. Just a quick tip, guys. If you're having troubles getting the crush washer off, get a better hold on it to remove it. If you guys find that the oil is still dripping a little bit too much, you can always lean the bike over a little bit further to help it along. Now, once you guys are ready to put the drain plug back in, just dab the hole a little bit, see how much more oil is coming out. Clean off the bolt that you took out. Make sure you grab your new crush washer, put that on. And again, that's the part number. So again, you always want to feed it in by hand. You want to hand tighten it just to start. Make sure that there's no binding. And then once you get it in, you switch back over to the ratchet. Now, make sure you don't over tighten it. My tip that I use is I use my left hand because it's not as strong as my right, because in my manual it actually does not give a specific torque spec for that bolt. Now once you put that back in, you want to make sure that your pan is moved over underneath the area where the oil filter is going to be coming out. So you're going to switch over to your 8mm. And don't forget, guys, all of these components are going to be rather hot. I'm not burning myself, but if you have sensitive skin, you may feel the heat a lot more than I am. And if you guys feel like it is burning you a little bit, make sure to use a rag or paper towel when removing this. Be very careful, it is going to leak. You got the filter, you got the spring, so make sure none of that falls into the drain pan, okay? And again, next step, we're using that part number for the filter, and then the O-ring is going to be this, that I'm going to show you guys how to put that on in just a second. So you want to remove the old O-ring. It's right on the outer edge there. And as you guys can see, the rubber did strip. There's a piece hanging off here. So this one is no good. New O-ring, make sure you put this on carefully. Should have gone pretty easily, just like that. You guys, if you blinked, you missed it. That's how easy it was. And then for the filter, I don't know if you guys are going to be able to read this, but it says outside towards filter cover. So you want to make sure you put that rubber side over the cover. Just press it down firmly. It'll stack on just like that. Really simple. And then you take your spring and you put that in there. And that's it. Now, when you're sliding it back in, you have to make sure that these two holes are facing upwards and that single hole is down. And as long as you put it back in that way, you can put the bolts back in and tighten it up, and you're done with that. While you're lining this up, make sure that the spring doesn't fall out of place, because that needs to be in there, or else there's not going to be any friction and the oil filter may potentially migrate. Snug it up just a little bit. Once it starts to grab a little bit, you want to alternate between them. Just do them about a quarter of a turn, if that, or an eighth of a turn, each one. And just keep alternating till it's evenly done. And again, I don't see any specs for the torque in my manual, so I'm using my left hand, using a smaller ratchet as well, so I don't get as much leverage. So I'm just tightening these up just to the point where I believe they are 100% snug, and that's it. Now, when it comes to taking the drain plug out, This is going to be the O-ring that we're going to be replacing on it. And if you guys find that the engine is still a little too hot for you, which I know I'm putting my fingers on it right now, but this does give off quite a bit of heat still. So again, if you have sensitive skin, you may want to and just gently get the filler cap going. Make sure that all the dirt was removed from around the edge, which I've already done. So that O-ring there, that is coming off and is being replaced. Just a note for you guys, me putting on this new one, I didn't actually need to. The old one that was on there did look to be in decent condition. It wasn't starting to peel like the other O-ring for the oil filter, but it's probably time that I do that anyway, just in case. Something like a filler plug, you're probably not going to have to change it that often, but some people are a little bit more anal than others when doing maintenance. So, like I said, the title of this episode is When in Doubt, Change It Out. So that is why I changed this one. So the next step is going to be putting the block under the triangle, which is going to square up the bike. And then you can go ahead and start filling the engine case here, and be sure to keep an eye on the glass sight through here and only fill it until it is halfway. Well, there you have it, guys. That is the oil change completely done. You've got your O-rings, you've got your crush washer, you got your filter, all that stuff is changed. So at the very end there, I left a little bit of a blooper there of me overfilling the, well, it's not really overfilling. I actually wasn't paying attention. I was trying to get the shot properly, and I ended up missing the funnel. So what I actually did though, I didn't actually overfill it. What I did was I filled it up to just about the full mark, and then what you do is you run the bike, and once you circulate the oil through the engine, that level will drop down anyway. So when you check it at the end, you have to make sure that the actual level after everything is done, once you've started up the bike for maybe a minute, just to run it for a minute, just so it circulates the oil, that's when you have to make sure that it is dead even in the middle. It can be a little bit up or a little bit down, but generally you want it right in the middle, because on a hot day when you're racing, for me anyway, I found that if I have it at the halfway mark on that glass windows sight, it generally goes up to about 3/4, maybe a little bit more. And so it pretty much is just resting just under that full mark. So that's what you really have to worry about, is the running temperature of the oil, because then it moves up on that level. So you want to make sure that it doesn't surpass that line, because if it does, then it's not good. You're going to cause more pressure, and the oil is going to want to seep out through seals and whatnot. So ask a mechanic though if you want a proper explanation. But that is it for me, guys. So hopefully this helped you guys do it the proper way for an oil change, engine only. on a 2004 Honda CRF450R, whether it's flat track or not. That's how you do it. So if you guys like this video, make sure to smash that like button. If you guys have any comments, leave them down below. And as always, be sure to subscribe so you guys don't miss out on any of my future videos. And I will catch you guys in the next one.